Bascom charged for cyberbullying. Taxi driver fatally stabbed amid dispute with best friend. Ghana police force received IT equipment. In the region, violent protests rock Haiti as economic crisis deepens, and internationally, cervical cancer. Home test kits enable early detection in Sweden. Welcome to another broadcast of Channel 2's Headline News Updates. I am Baby Bacchus. Thank you for joining us. Police Detective Dion Bascom was placed on $300,000 bail for 3 cyber crime-related charges when he appeared at the Georgetown Magistrates Court earlier today. Bascom was charged for allegedly harassing 2 of his senior colleagues online by accusing them of covering up the murder of Ricardo Fagundes, also known as Paper Shorts. Bascom appeared before Chief Magistrate Anne McLennan and pleaded not guilty to the charges. The court heard that during August, Bascom used the computer system to transmit electronic data with the intent to humiliate, harass, or cause substantial emotional distress to Superintendents Mitchell Caesar and Shabin Nath Singh. Police legal advisor Mandel Moore objected to Bascom being released on bail, citing the seriousness of the offenses. According to Moore, Bascom poses a flight risk since there is a strong likelihood that he might leave the jurisdiction. However, Bascom's attorney Nigel Hughes asked the court for his client to be released on bail and will abide by any conditions attached. It was also disclosed that Bascom is currently on medical leave. The chief magistrate granted Bascom $100,000 bail on each count. He was ordered to lodge his passport at the court and report to the Criminal Investigation Department headquarters every other Friday. The matter was adjourned to September 21, 2022. Ranks of the Ghana Police Force are investigating the fatal stabbing of a taxi driver at Mocha on the east bank of the Marara early this morning. Dead is 42-year-old taxi driver Quincy Weeks of Nelson Street, Mocha. According to the Ghana Police Force, Weeks and his alleged killer, a 28-year-old who were best friends, had a disagreement over a $500 change, which prolonged over parking space as they both worked taxi in the area and plied the same route. It was during the argument that the suspect armed himself with a knife and reportedly stabbed Weeks several times. The suspect was later arrested and remains in custody as investigations continues. The Ghana Elections Commission says no decision yet on extension of claims and objections exercise. GCOM has noted the content of a letter published in the Wednesday, September 14, 2022 edition of the Starbrook News, indicating that the Commission took a decision at its statutory meeting on Tuesday, 13th of September, not to extend the period for the ongoing claims and objections exercise. Accordingly, it must be categorically stated that the Commission took no such decision. In this regard, it is imperative for the Commission to clarify that a request was submitted by a political party citing reasons why the Commission should consider extending the claims and objection period. However, although some preliminary discussions commenced at the statutory meeting on Tuesday, it was suggested and decided that the parliamentary political parties be consulted before a determination is made. Consequently, the Commission met today to further discuss the request for an extension where a decision would be made accordingly and the outcome communicated to the public. In view of the foregoing, the Commission is reminding all stakeholders to always await and rely on official communications from GCOM in relation to its decisions and work program. Stick around after the break. Minister of Public Works inspects Diamond Bridge to Jimbo Bridge roads, and Ghana Police Force receives IT equipment to help officers combat crime.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny?
I want money for borrow for doing surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, Lot 238 South Road Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lender's, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again.
Lenders Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Sooner or later you will have another power failure. Are you prepared for the next blackout? Some essential equipment such as security cameras, lights, internet, gate motors, and water pumps may stop working. How can you prevent the next blackout? InverterTech has an affordable solution for you. A strong UPS system which uses the latest inverter and solar battery technology to prevent blackout. We smartly calculate your average power demand so you don't spend more than you need to. Call 223-2233 for more information.
When you need money and you gotta get it fast, Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop is the place for that confidential transaction in a quiet and secure location. You'll get the highest value per pennyweight for your gold and also enjoy the lowest interest rates and longest payback period too. Yes, for that instant transaction to solve a pressing financial problem. That Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop, 4-6 Boyle Place, that's between the Ministry of Housing on Brickdam and White Castle Fish Shop, be your first and only choice. Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop, safe and sound, solid and secure, always there for you. Telephone 231-7878 and 223-8955.
Welcome back. The second monkeypox patient, a female in her 30s, has been discharged from the infectious disease hospital. Minister of Health, Dr. Frank Anthony, during today's COVID-19 update, said only 2 infected persons in Guyana are now home. Noting that neither of the 2 patients has rashes to spread the infections, their close contacts can return to normalcy. The first patient, male in his 50s, was released last week. The first case of monkeypox in Guyana was confirmed on Monday, August 22nd, and a week later, on August 29th, another case was recorded. So far, no other monkeypox cases has been recorded in Guyana. The health minister had previously noted that he does not foresee a lot of monkeypox infections in Guyana due to the nature of the disease, which requires being in close contact with any infected individual for an extended period of time. Nevertheless, if you have questions or concerns about monkeypox, you can call the ministry's hotline on 0449. On Tuesday, Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs Anil Nandlal handed over some 38 pieces of information technology equipment to the Guyana Police Force to boost the force's crime-fighting capacity. The equipment will, among other things, assist the police in recording witness statements. It will facilitate the move from the manual handwritten process to typed and computer-generated statements. The Attorney General, while noting the evidential importance of these statements in the court of law, emphasized the need for legibility given the fact that historically these statements would be handwritten. The minister explained that the equipment is to provide resources to aid the police in having typed, printed, and stored statements. He used this example to highlight the need for modernized methods of functionality within the police force. Meanwhile, Deputy Commissioner Administration, Acting Calvin Brutus, expressed gratitude to the government, disclosing that the equipment will serve to modernize and improve the quality of service in the police force. He added that this donation would aid ranks in inputting the information in the computer system and have statements prepared in the proper format and in the required standard to aid the court in prosecuting and delivering justice. It will also assist the force in providing a better quality service to citizens. The equipment will be distributed across various police stations. Persons traversing the Diamond Grove East Bank corridor are being assured improved traffic flow with the recent conclusion of major infrastructure works. Minister of Public Works, Bishop One H. Hill, spearheaded a site inspection in the area on Tuesday to ensure the works completed met the required standard. Minister H. Hill said the government is making every effort to reduce traffic congestion and reduce the amount of time people spend commuting and provide comfort. He further stated that this might be a small but very important intervention. Works commenced just over a week ago and have seen the timely execution of milling and paving of an entire section of the Diamond Bridge to Jimbo Bridge roads. Upon inspection, the minister said the engineers have identified a spot along the road that is depressed and will immediately begin rehabilitative work. With the improved paved roads between the Diamond and Jimbo bridges, the ministry will be installing a slip lane which will prevent motorists heading north or turning into the Diamond area from hindering the flow of traffic behind them. Minister Edgehill said an extra carriageway has also been provided to add to improved traffic flow. Further, an alternative route has been rehabilitated for persons residing in the Diamond housing area to enter and exit through avenues A and B instead of the usual route at Diamond Junction. The government is aiming to have the road further rehabilitated until it reaches First Avenue in the scheme. A market tarmac has been constructed to remove vendors and hire taxis from plying their trade on the roadways. Taxis parked on the shoulder of the road pose major traffic and safety issues that are being addressed. Don't go away after the break. US inflation slows for a second month but remains stubbornly high. And cervical cancer. Home test kits enable early detection in Sweden.
When you need money and you gotta get it fast, Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop is the place for that confidential transaction in a quiet and secure location. You'll get the highest value per pennyweight for your gold and also enjoy the lowest interest rates and longest payback period too. Yes, for that instant transaction to solve a pressing financial problem. That Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop, 4-6 Boyle Place, that's between the Ministry of Housing on Brickdam and White Castle Fish Shop, be your first and only choice. Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop, safe and sound, solid and secure, always there for you. Telephone 231-7878 and 223-8955.
Sooner or later you will have another power failure. Are you prepared for the next blackout? Some essential equipment such as security cameras, lights, internet, gate motors, and water pumps may stop working. How can you prevent the next blackout? InverterTech has an affordable solution for you. A strong UPS system which uses the latest inverter and solar battery technology to prevent blackout. We smartly calculate your average power demand so you don't spend more than you need to. Call 223-2233 for more information.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny?
I want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, Lot 238 South Road Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lenders, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Welcome back. Now let's take a look at what's happening in the region and around the world. More violent protests have rocked Haiti after the Prime Minister announced an increase in the price of fuel. People are demanding cheaper essentials, safer streets, and the resignation of Ariel Henry. Al Jazeera's Rob Reynolds reports.
Protests turned deadly on Tuesday in Haiti's capital, Port-au-Prince, as crowds took to the streets outraged over rising crime, soaring inflation, and a government hike in the price of fuel. Several people were reported dead by Haitian journalists after clashes with police. People threw stones and burning barricades were set up on the city's streets. The outbreak of violence came after Prime Minister Ariel Henry announced that a severe scarcity of all types of fuel would force the government to raise prices. That would be yet another blow to millions of Haitians struggling to eke out a living day by day. Henry has called for calm and international help in fighting gang violence.
Violence pas la donne.
We have to solve the violence. Violence is not going to get us anywhere. I appeal to all people to stay calm.
By tout monde.
The appeal had little effect. Haitians are living in a country largely without a functioning government where violent criminal gangs control much of the territory. Those gangs have made daily life extremely difficult with robbery, extortion, and brazen daylight kidnappings for ransom. The groups have grown more powerful since the assassination of President Jovenel Moïse more than a year ago. On Sunday, journalists Tesson Latier and Franzen Charles were killed while covering a battle between rival gangs in the notorious slum called Cité Soleil. The Haitian Journalists Association called the killings further proof of the inability of the state to protect lives and property. Rob Reynolds, Al Jazeera.
Inflation in the US remained high in August, making it difficult for the Americans grappling with buying essential goods despite the drop in gas prices. Al Jazeera's Heidi Castro reports.
Most goods and services in the U.S. are still more expensive than ever. The Consumer Price Index, a key inflation indicator, showed inflation is still close to a 40-year high instead of cooling off as many had expected. While gas prices are down, most other essentials are up, like rent.
It went up 20%, give or take. So from $600 to $800, that's $200. So that's a big rise.
And medical expenses.
Went to the dentist about a couple of months ago, and to extract something is like $150. Before, it used to be like only $50, $55, maybe $70 at the most.
Wall Street balked at the inflation news. The Dow Jones Industrial Average plummeted more than 1,200 points, falling nearly 4%. It was the worst day for American investors since June 2020.
It's clear from kind of core inflation readings and some internals that we look at that we still have a broadening inflation problem that's seeping into more parts of the economy.
U.S. President Joe Biden said unemployment remains low and the stock market doesn't necessarily reflect the state of the economy. He seemed unfazed during a White House event to celebrate the so-called Inflation Reduction Act.
This bill cut costs for families, help reduce inflation at the kitchen table, because that's what they look at.
The bill passed a month ago. It aims to invest $375 billion to fight climate change and helps some 13 million Americans pay for health insurance. It does not, however, tackle widespread inflation, according to economists. Republicans opposed the law and blame inflation on Biden's party.
American people know who created this mess. They remember quite well how Washington Democrats spent the spring of 2021 dining out on left-wing spending and leaving taxpayers to pick up the bill.
Economists pin rising prices on the war in Ukraine, supply issues linked to COVID, and stimulus and disruptions in the labor market. In its meeting next week, the Federal Reserve is expected to announce another increase in interest rate, an aggressive move aimed at bringing down inflation, but that also feeds fears of a possible overcorrection that could trigger a recession. Heidi Jo Castro, Al Jazeera, Washington.
And internationally, the World Health Organization says it has a plan to ensure that cervical cancer is the first cancer to be eliminated. Some countries in Europe are already well on their way, with Sweden using a home testing system that is catching cases early. Al Jazeera's Paul Rice reports.
Cervical cancer kills more than 300,000 women worldwide every year. Many of them die young, but the World Health Organization hopes the disease can be beaten for good if methods being used here in Sweden are adopted across the globe. Vera Hensch Mauritsson was vaccinated against cervical cancer along with all of her schoolmates when she was 11 years old.
It gives a good protection, which I think all women need. It was just totally obvious to me, obvious to my parents as well. There was nothing to think about, just do it.
The vaccine against human papillomavirus, or HPV, has been shown to reduce cervical cancer and pre-cancer by up to 90%. But there's another effective weapon being used here. The public health campaign in Sweden has been so successful, they're confident they can virtually eradicate cervical cancer in the next 5 years. And it's partly due to this.
We have the test kit. We also have this transport tube.
Jessica Börjander is head of a laboratory that processes home screening tests for cervical cancer.
This has been vital in finding women who are at an increased risk of cervical cancer. It's very easy. You get the kit in the post with instructions and send it back. Since we started last year, we've screened many more women this way than those who used to visit the gynecologist or midwife.
India has just developed its own vaccine, raising hopes that Sweden's lead can be followed there.
Till now, many of these countries could not introduce the HPV vaccine because the vaccine was expensive. Now, we know that a single dose of the vaccine will work almost as good as 2 doses or 3 doses. And this is a great opportunity for the low and middle income countries to introduce the vaccine and at the same time also focus on the screening part. And to me, it looks like more empowering the women to take care of themselves when it comes to preventive health.
The World Health Organization wants to make sure that 90% of girls in Europe are vaccinated by the time they reach 15 years old. Spread the jabs and the home tests worldwide, and this could be the first cancer in history to be eliminated altogether. Paul Rees, Al Jazeera, Lund, Sweden.
And that is it for today's regional and international news. Here now is your 3-day weather forecast. And that is all for this edition of Channel 2's Headline News Update. Tune in on Thursday at 7 p.m. for another episode. Be sure to subscribe, like, and follow us on Facebook and YouTube. Until then, please take care of yourself and each other.